Sean Haney here with RealAgriculture.com, and I'm joined right now by Kelvin Hepner. Hey, Kelvin, how's it going?
Going well. We're on the Tech Tour live, enjoying Brandon today.
Sunny Brandon. That was snowy Brandon until a couple hours ago, maybe.
Yeah, the snow's all melted. We arrived from Saskatoon late last night in the bit of a snowstorm, and roads weren't great last night or this morning, but looks like they should be good. Just wet now.
Snowy in Manitoba, and sun's probably shining back in Lethbridge at home. But
of course,
we just posted a story on the site that is, I think, kind of an interesting discussion, because a year ago we published the 5 things that Grandpa taught you that you really need today still to be successful on the farm. We just posted a story that's called "Please Forget the 7 Things Your Grandpa Taught You." That seems a little derogatory. It's not meant to be. I think there's some old rules that maybe made farmers successful in the 30s and 40s that don't really live true today.
Certainly, the environment in which we farm has changed. You wouldn't farm the same way you do 10 years ago even. Some farms might still, but never mind when grandparents or earlier generations, going back that far, farming has changed. There's been research, technologies changed and improved, and many different tools available, and just an different understanding of how the ag markets and agronomy and how it all works.
Well, before we get too hyped up on our own knowledge at this point, we should also realize that we'll look back 20 years from now, and there'll be things that we do today that we think are so revolutionary and so right, and we're so smart. We'll look back and say, I can't believe that we did it that way.
And that's why it is important to go back to that article from a year ago where we talked about, of course, people who have been around, who have experience, can tell us, predict or tell us about the cycles that have happened in the past. We haven't necessarily lived through many of those hard times, the high interest rates and the dirty 30s, if you want to go back that far. Certainly the last decade of Canadian agriculture isn't the way things have always been.
So now there's 7 on our list. Which one kind of sticks out for you as something that you think of when we were coming up with these?
Well, one kind of hits close to home because it's just maybe the farm background that I come from, but working hard and assuming things will work out just because of that. I think good work ethic is extremely important, but I heard a speaker earlier this winter who said your work ethic shouldn't be your competitive advantage, because anybody can work hard, and that's why work ethic is important. You need to work hard, but not necessarily working harder will make. You don't necessarily need to work harder to have your farm be more successful. Things have changed in terms of tools and technology and specialization in agriculture. Working on a tractor that is built in the last decade versus a tractor built in the 70s, which a farmer probably knew how to repair. Now you need to be a lot more specialized and need expertise. So just working hard isn't going to fix your GPS. You need to have technical expertise and be smart.
Yeah, the person that has the most sweat on their brow doesn't necessarily mean they're making the most money. This is similar. I had a guy I knew that farmed close to our farm that his sort of belief that was similar to this was the dirtier you were, the harder you were working. Yeah. So he would always be completely covered in grease and be filthy, but he always, that was sort of like an indication for him that you were working hard because you were just covered in grease and you're just sloppy and probably not doing your job properly.
Yeah, and we have tools to do the work, or if we have tools to do the work, then why not let the tools do it and save your body and your back and knees and everything that a lot of older farmers shoveled a lot of bins, and maybe now you don't need to do that. Maybe a hopper bottom bin, that'd be one example of technology where working hard isn't necessarily an advantage. Yeah,
well, driving it, say you're planting, working, you drive the tractor harder. Like how do you actually work harder to do that job better? So, yeah, my grandpa always talked about shoveling beet pulp, as if that was like, that was real farming kind. That was real work, and you sissies now don't really understand. So he always reminisced about that story. The one that kind of sticks out for me a little bit is the idea that goes the idea of independence and the idea that partnerships are bad, independence is good and the only kind of way to go, right? So I think in agriculture we have this general underlying fabric of our attitude is independence. And that serves us very well. We're a stubborn group as a whole, right? But I think there's things that we can do on our farm. We've kind of learned just from in business in general that sometimes partnerships work. They can save you money. They can get you a higher return. Maybe the work gets done smarter and faster because you're working together as a group. I think that's something that we've sort of moved away from, is this idea that we have to go about it alone because we don't want to be under the thumb of somebody else's decision making. We need to make decisions for our farm.
And I think that relates back to the point about working as well, where farmers can't be jack of all trades anymore because agriculture has become so technical and highly specialized skills and expertise that you need. So to work independently, you can't be good at everything. You need to acknowledge your strengths and your weaknesses and find people that have complementary strengths. And so that's where partnering and finding people to align your business, form alliances with. Everybody's better off if you have a strength and you can contribute to their business, and they have a strength, whatever the example is. That there's so much specialization now that you need to work together with experts.
Well, one of the other ones on the list, it's a pretty good list, and I'm sure some of our listeners will be able to add more to the list in the comment section on Facebook. But is the idea that you're too busy for safety? We are here to work and get things done. We do not have time for those things that. Now we're much more conscious of safety, and I think this isn't really a criticism. It was a different time.
I didn't want to talk about this one because it's too personal. But yeah, totally. A lot of the excuses in the past for cutting corners because you didn't want to take time to fix a light on the grain truck or that kind of thing. That's not how things are done now, and that's not a best practice. That's not how your farm's going to succeed.
Well, we all have stories about Grandpa, stirring the sprayer mix with his arm, or as we're treating our seed, we got more seed treatment on ourselves than we actually did on the seed. And we all have those sort of stories that we kind of laugh about now, but realistically, we don't farm that way anymore either.
No, and how many of our grandpas or older generation, our uncles, are missing fingers or
they're deaf.
They're deaf, yeah, exactly. Lung issues, all kinds of places where safety wasn't a priority. It was about just getting the job done. You're right.
Nothing worse than an old case of farmer lung. So what we encourage everybody to do is go to Real Agriculture and go through the list of 7 and see what you think. And I'm sure there's some that you maybe take issue with, and there's some that you probably thought we omitted. And as well, check out, there's a link in there to the 5 things that Grandpa taught you that you should never forget. So it's kind of a fun discussion, and it's thinking about our past and what's changed and what's stayed the same, and the main thing is making sure our farm is successful in the future.
Yeah, as a bottom line, this underscores how agriculture is changing, and we need to learn lessons from our history. Otherwise, how does it go? We're bound to repeat our history unless we learn from it. So we need to respect the legacies and understand the legacy and principles that grandparents have passed on, but at the same time also understand how farming has changed.
Yeah, we didn't even get started on successful farms don't pay tax. We won't even get into that one. It's a little too heavy. Okay, Kelvin, we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, Sean. Thank you.